Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs. Today is the first day of June. It is 2025 on the ancient moon calendar, 2026 on the ancient sun calendar. It is 10,066 on the ancient Yoruba calendar and 5785 on the ancient Hebrew Israelite calendar. There are millions and millions of other calendars that we could state what this date is or what this chronos is, what this kairos is. We just choose several of them and state them, but there are many others as well. The ancient Islamic calendar as well. With that being stated, all rise and stand and remain standing into perpetuity and in alignment and according to the ancient Noahide laws as stated by this Holy Congress. This is a sovereign living ancient Article 3, Moorish American Al-Moroccan Universal Court action. We are the sovereign living justices and Chief Pauline Ritchie. My free chosen sovereign appellation is like Tajiri Bay. All are in capitis diminution nolo. In red ink, in proprio persona sui juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio heredes. We are capite et corpus juris legalis, which is our statement that we are the lawful and legal, natural, living head and body for our empire. All Moors are the divine, original, indigenous, sovereign, ancient, Al-Moroccan, Moorish American ascendants of the great pharaohs of Kemet and of the ancient Moabites, Canaanites, Shemites, Israelites, Cushites, and Hittites. Our full faith and trust, our allegiance, our honor, our credit, and our energy are hereby vested in ourselves, for we are the people who are the original, indigenous, natural, divine, sovereign, ancient, Al-Moroccan empire. We are the de jure Moorish National Republic federal government. We are ancient Washington District for Columbia. We're the Universal Moorish American Consulate and the Earthwide Article 3 Moorish American Consular Court. We are the law by our sovereign status, which is the original, indigenous, natural, divine, sovereign, ancient, Article 3, living United States District for Columbia Court, and we are the sovereign fiduciaries, original creditors, executors, divine ministers, possessors, grantors, grantors, and title trustors for all causes for action, and our system is the trustee. We are peace. We are one nation, one state, one empire, and one God. We hereby recognize ourselves and accept our sovereign divine ascension. We do possess in our custody all land, all natural resources, and all commerce. We, the true living God nation, are not at war. We are war, and we are all eternal, ancient, original sovereign rights at this time and at all points in time, nunc-pro-tunc. And when we state that the system that we have created is the trustee, we trust our systems because we created our systems. So when we make that statement, think original, indigenous, intelligent systems, because all things work by our systems, Islam. So our story, because there has been so many who were attempting to control our narrative. And of course, we do not hear that in our court. We don't hear anyone attempting to control our narrative and what is truth about us. So we're putting more of our story and our truth on the public record, just for those who are not familiar with where we've been all this time. We've always been here on the land, at earth, all lands. We were first at all lands. And so we will to share briefly a quick, short truth about us, that we must repeat this over and over and over. And the reason we have to repeat this is because many just do not know. They just don't know. Okay? But we do. Our truth is that we were born wealthy beyond all that anyone could think or imagine. Shortly after birthing, we were placed among the commoners and treated as commoners, not knowing that we are not commoners. The commoners were under oath not to speak about our true identity as the nobility and gods at earth, because that is who we are. We spent some time, quote unquote, out of our minds, in other words, in a different jurisdiction in the enactment, in order to learn processes that systems are built on. That is why we went to sleep in the enactment. Now we've remembered and we've learned, and now we remember who we really are. We know about our systems. We know that we put them in place first, and then we allowed actors to act them out. And now the systems are activated by us. They never were not activated by us. They were always, even in our sleep. And now that we've put our systems, we've activated our system, which is the most ancient system at earth, we were able to remove all obstacles placed in our way by the activation of our own systems. And so we have no obstacles in the way to access our estate. Some are still manifesting mentally and remembering where they are and orienting themselves back to who we really are. And as far as we can see, and we can see, we have a 360-degree view. That is the only speed bump, so to speak, and that's not a bad thing. That's the only speed bump, is that many of us are reorienting back to who we really are and where we are, and all that is already ours. So there's nothing new under the sun. We've been on the land the whole time. We just had to remember that is where we are, and that all belongs to us on our land. And now it is our responsibility to name and claim all that is here. And we've done that. We've put the systems in place for that to manifest. And now what we're doing is we've perfected our system, and now we're going forth with our system and using it to accomplish all that our ancestors willed for us to accomplish. So this story, this truth, we are the only ones who have this truth. No one else has this truth. So with this truth, and again, our truth is written all over the place. We just had to put it on the public record. Our truth is in the Biblios. It's in the Holy Quran. It's in the Bhagavad Gita. It's in all of the writings, the books. Our truth is everywhere. It's in the cosmos. It's all around us. Our truth is everywhere. There's no denying our truth. And this is our truth. So this is what we tell our heirs about who we are. This is what goes on the public record about who we are, so that anytime anyone sees us, they will already know that we know who we are. And so we are the ones who shape what people say and what people think about us and about everything. We're the ones who have the capacity, the authority, the power to determine what comes out of other people's mouths about us. And that's based on what we say and what we do. That's why what we say, we watch it. We use our third eye to watch what we say. Because yes, our words have legs and arms and our word goes out and comes back. So, and goes out again and comes back. Our word is a currency. It's an energy. And it is important that we remember that when we speak and that we don't haphazardly say things. Okay? So, with that being stated, in our previous Congress, and actually before we go forward with that, and if anyone has any thoughts on our truth, and this is what we pass from generation to generation. This is what we pass. These are the words. This is the story of us. This has always been our story. And we must pass our story, share our story with our heirs. We must do that. And share it with everyone. Empress Cynthia.
Yes, I'm aligned with those values. I agree. Islam.
Islam. Thank you, Empress Cynthia. And yes, just as Imani says, our word will not return unto us void. It shall not. But it will accomplish all that we send our word out to do. Everyone knew this about us. Everyone. There's not a single person or people that did not know this about us at Earth.
Islam.
Islam, Empress.
Empress Shasha, Chief Justice, excuse me, Amika. So looking at this and knowing that I am part of the nobility, and looking at the word also there, and it makes me think about my life actually. Through life, everywhere I went or domiciled, I was looked at as someone else.
Yes.
Yes. Even here in England, and it was always as someone else from fellow Moors, not necessarily Moorish Americans, but fellow Moors, Hindustani Moors, would see me as them and treat me so and speak a language that I, wasn't familiar with. And then there were some who it was always attempting to be being pulled down from your high horse.
Yeah.
When I was just walking. Because the thing about it is they know who we are because our energy speaks who we are. And that is why so much has or was done in the game, in the enactment, to assist us so that we could come home, remember who we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as you said earlier, watch your words.
Yes.
Switch out that watch and with the A to an I, and you've got witch.
Yes.
And the great witch hunts over the years were, over, the generations and history, was the word that they were afraid of. The wisdom of the wealthy women and her son.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Indeed.
Islam.
Islam nobility. Sure. Islam. Ecclesiastes, the 10th chapter, verse 7, states, I have seen servants upon horses and princes walking as servants upon the earth. Ecclesiastes 10:7 is talking about just what you stated about coming off your high horse. See, when people came here, they saw us walking while the servants and stuff were on the horses. And they were like, what in the world is going on here? Why is the empresses and the emperors off their high horse?
That is so powerful.
Ecclesiastes, the 10th chapter, verse 7. Why is the nobility off their horse? Why? And the servants are on the horses. Hilarious.
It is.
Islam, say that again, Empress Sasha.
No, I was just saying it is. It is hilarious. It
Yes.
is.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is.
People could not believe it.
That's right. We're not the believability.
Ooh, ooh.
You said you were going to get several free conveyances, Pauline.
That's crazy,
Where are they?
Empress Sasha. That's a good
Where
word.
are they, Pauline?
Is it not?
That's a great word. You know, I thought about the word believe this week. Ancestors had us to think about that word and look at it and see it and pull it apart.
Belie.
That too, Empress. But when you're in court, if someone takes leave, that means they walk out and they don't say when they're coming back.
Yes, they do.
They take leave.
They leave.
If someone is on their own estate and they supposedly leave the estate, then it looks abandoned.
And yes.
So when you say that you believe something, this is why we don't do feelings and beliefs. They're corpses. Let's put it that way. Let's name it. When you believe a corpse is a judge, what you have actually done is left your estate, so you've become believing.
That absolutely makes absolute sense. And then you be the lie.
Yes.
I mean, it makes so much sense. And looking at it, we relieve them.
Yes.
And looking at the same characters, it speaks so much truth. So much truth.
Yes, it does. Boy, I tell you what.
You see, the great mystery is my story.
Yes. Wow.
And everybody's been telling it.
Yeah. Many have been acting out our story.
Many have been acting out. But in the end, we are the only ones who can show it.
Yeah. Yes. I saw Islam, Empress. I saw a video because, as we continue to stand and take and we have our rightful places and we are in our proper status and all of that. And then we've done things like made the shift where capitalism is concerned and things of that nature. I saw a video today that it just brought home what we're doing. I'm going to put the link to it in the chat really quickly. There, we just put the link in the chat. And it's like a 30-second video. And it's the actor who was previously acting as Warren Buffett. The woman in the video is talking to the actress in the video, because she's just an actress. She's talking to the actor Warren Buffett about how he supposedly got quote unquote rich. And she says he got rich by capitalism. And he says yes. She said, and she named someone else, I think Bill Gates or someone else. She named another one of the subjects. And she said, he got rich by capitalism also. And he said yes. And then they went on to make little statements about that and how it works. And as I looked at that and heard that truth come out, because, no one really express the importance of knowing what that really means, okay, to us. In the animal husbandry schools, we were supposed to know that we were supposed to know that the only way for anyone to pretend to be us, the only way they could do that is by fake capitalism. The only way they could pretend not to be a commoner. And those are not ego statements, those are truth, those are facts. The only way they could pretend to not be subject to us is by using all capital letters everywhere. Everywhere. So even as you're traveling through the territories, and you look at the street signs, the majority of the street signs are in all capital letters, but every now and then you'll come across a street sign that's not in all capital letters, and it has some certain specific designation of some kind. Here there are plenty, and in just not many days from now, all of the street signs will be in all lower in their proper state. Someone just put something in the chat about the poor. The Biblio states that the poor will always be with us. Why is that? Because there are some that are going to want to fight what we're saying. They're going to want to deny what we're saying, what we're stating. They're going to want to pretend like capitalism hasn't gone anywhere, or, oh, it's not important to know about that, you see. But now that we know exactly who we are, and that everything that was done previously by fraudulent capitalism. So speaking of capitalism and the enactments that were done previously, again, that's the only way that anyone could even fathom someone foreign being called rich or wealthy, and us pretending like we're poor. They had to enact capitalism, and then try and make us believe that we're poor and that we don't have anything and that we can't move without their approval, and that we can be jailed at their will and all of that. That's where capitalism came in at. And so some of capitalism was a service to us. It was to assist us in knowing the system. Look at the system, learn it. Yes, it's in all capital letters, but learn it and know it, and know that it's in all capital letters. Know that it's in all capital letters, and then, keep doing what you're doing. And then when it's time, when you're ready to accept your estate and to govern your estate, you will write it, and you'll write it where it's not in all capital letters. Let us, we have a suggestion for the Congress. We can't tell sovereigns what to do, but we highly suggest some things. In the previous Congress, we talked about blood on the doorpost. And then as our estate was presenting to us this week, we had reason to, the ancestors inspired us to place blood on the doorpost, and this is how. Let us show you how. So blood on the perfected doorpost, what does that look like? Because, We've all done liens, levies, and bonds on our domiciles that we are at. Now we have to know exactly where we are, and we do. And then the ancestors inspired us to print out. See, we took, when we first moved into this domicile many years ago, many decades ago, actually, it had big black numbers nailed on to the domicile. Big black numbers. And we were asleep at the time, so we didn't know what that meant. We didn't know that it actually had a meaning, that it was actually a brand, a label. We didn't know that. It was a name, a dead corpse name. But then when we woke up, the ancestors inspired us to take those down. So I took them down, got rid of them. But I didn't know what to put there. So I didn't put anything. And for about 3 years, 3 or 4 years, if not longer, there were no numbers on this domicile. And so recently, when this Congress brought up blood on the doorpost, the ancestors said, okay, now we'll tell you what to put there. And that's how the ancestors have been working with us this whole time, is they'll tell us to do a step, and we'll do that step. It may not be the whole step, the whole process. When the ancestors tell us to do something, we just do it. And then we move on and do other things, because we know the ancestors will come back and revisit that whatever that is, that inspiration, and they'll give us another step to take. So this sign that's here on my domicile, let me pull it up so that you can see it closer. This is what it looks like. This is what it looks like. Let's see. Make sure. Yes. Okay. So you can see, and then we put our gold seal and our embossment on it. But you can see here some lines. Can anyone state what those lines might be?
Islam,
Empress.
those would be the lines that we put in the lien. It looks exactly like that. It's the lien language.
Very close. Yes, it is a court action on our affidavit. It's the fiduciary document. We put the whole thing down there. And all we had to do was put our stamp and seal on it. So you're right, Empress. It's one of our affidavits, one of the main foundational affidavits. The lien is one. I could have put the lien there. If I put up another one somewhere else on the property, maybe, and we will probably do that at the entryways of the property. We'll put the fiduciary document is on that one. So then we'll put a lien on the other, and then we'll put another document on the other, and stamp and seal. And it's so tiny. That's why they say, you have to know what the fine writing at the bottom of you have to know what it says before you go moving forward. So that's why we state that, let's, write our own statements and everything, and affidavits and court actions, and put them up. So that's what we were inspired to do this week. And let me tell you why. Because there was someone pretending to hold an office that was claiming they were coming here. And so the ancestors said, okay, now we'll tell you what to do so that they'll know exactly where they're coming to. Because again, the numbers were off. And even in the past, we've had subjects in the office of postmen and subjects in the office of couriers and delivery persons ask, is this the right place? Because there were no numbers on the structure, on the temple. So, and then we would, whenever they ask that question, we state, this is 911 Southwest, and we state the whole thing. That way they know that it's not what they're saying, it's what we're saying. And we do that and ask their name all the time. Those are court actions. So the ancestors have inspired us to do this, and I'm just grateful that those that are around us know that we are who we are, and they don't question what we're doing, you know. So we put this here. We put the peace symbol, you know, because this is a peaceful temple here. And then it's not our problem if you can't read the small writing. You know, those who come who thought they had an office, not our problem that you can't see it. That's your issue, not ours. And so we would suggest that all Moors somewhere, and listen, Moors, we know that some of your kin and some of your clan, we know that some of them don't necessarily go along with what we know to be our truth. Did you know that you can make the writing so small that it fits on the head of a pen? You can make the writing microscopic and put it somewhere up near, and no one will ever know what that means, but it still means what it means. It's still a court action and all of that. So that's just a suggestion. We were inspired to do it by the ancestors, and we saw changes immediately in the atmosphere. So Islam, Justice Council.
I'm going to rise into Moors and see.
Great rising, nobility.
Can you put this under the video?
Say again, nobility?
I said, can you put this under the video?
Under the video. I can put it under the video, but you can just write it out based on what you see here. This is just our letterhead. That's all it is our location and our letterhead and the fiduciary document in very super microscopic writing, super small. I put it on font 1, 01 was the size.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just wondering about the small writing, you know.
Yeah. And it's the same thing. Now, it's the same strategy that was used on checks and financial instruments where you thought you were signing on a line, but that says authorized representative or something like that. Okay. This is the same strategy. The very same strategy. And you know, our ancestors are causing us to be more to use wisdom with the things that we do. To use wisdom. That's one moment. Islam, Empress.
This makes me look at or think of our ancient technology are science and sigils,
Yes.
symbols. So the symbols would be, for instance, a particular symbol could actually be the fiduciary document.
Yes.
Because all of those words and intentions and everything else is put into a symbol and placed, just like the mezuzah, the blood on the door. It's the same thing. It's the same concept. As you stated earlier, there is nothing new under the sun, and all of it comes from us.
Yes.
This is science. This is actual science.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That. Oops. Let's see. Okay. And again, we've done the lien, levy, and bond and all of that on, on this temple here. We've done court actions and all of that. So, we're just grateful that the ancestors, they have made it so that between the time, and this is something that we will for each one to know, that between the time that we took the black numbers down and these past days where we put up the signage, that the ancestors protected this place, this temple. They protected this temple. All they willed is that we continue to demonstrate every time we open the door. Every time there's a knock at the door, just demonstrate, just be ourselves. They protected this domicile, the temple the whole time. And it was years between the time we took it down and the time we put it up. We stayed where we really are. So we need not ever worry about having a process that may or may not be what we call complete or perfected, because the ancestors will always protect us between that time period as long as we're being ourselves. No one, out of all the things we've done court actions, we've decapitated corpses left and right and threw their behinds in a grave and all of that, all these years, and the ancestors protected this temple. This temple and this temple. The whole time we were protected. I mean, just think about all that we've done. Think about all we've done. Think about all the demonstrations and all the things we've stated. And not once could they come and kick the door in. Not once. Not once. To us, that alone, aside from all the other beauty and beautiful things that have manifested, that alone is worthy of knowing that the things that we do are truth and that we state are truth. All we had to do was stay peaceful. Don't give them any titles, and they can't use a title. Stop calling them judges and police and all of that. Don't give them those titles, and they can't use them. That's why it's been so safe and so protected. Because never, ever, ever do we state anything different from who we really are. And see, those that worry about kidnapping, the only reason you have that fear is because you keep giving them titles like that. When you stop that one and watch your mouth with that one, with that piece, with that law right there, you don't have to worry about kidnapping. Islam, Empress. Islam, Empress.
I just wanted to make a comment on that. It came into my letter together that I could use for any cooperation. I mean, all of them would be included in the same letter, you know, to say it's a cooperation, a limited cooperation, whatever the name be, you know, that I could address them and let anyone know with the same letter that I'm not accepting their. Could that possibly work?
Empress, could that work? Let me ask you.
I think it could.
If you think it could, it will. Because who's the God of that process? You just have to know that third-party interlopers can do nothing when we speak properly to the system and let the system know not to print out anything crazy or stupid. You know, we just have to know that it's not about people that are talking, it's about a system. When you call somebody and they're supposed to be, quote unquote, a bill collector, all they're doing is typing on a computer and looking at what the computer says, and they're reading to you that. And then they start running their mouths about what they see, about their interpretation of what's on the screen. So what we do is we speak to the system, make the system do what it's supposed to do, and then every time they pull something up, it'll say what we will for it to say, and they can't say nothing different. But you must speak to the system, and you must know that there's a difference between a person speaking and a system. See, we're not mad at persons, because persons cannot move until that system says something. They only existed on paper, and now they don't even exist there, because we've already taken care of that. We just have to continue to do what we're doing. So yes, Empress, anything that you're inspired to do, you must do it. There's a reason why that process came to you, Empress Aisha. There's a reason why the Spirit motivated you to do that process, to think about it and then demonstrate it. The ancestors, they don't give us processes just for us to do them and it to fail and not mean anything and then move on with our life. They never do that. What they do is they inspire us to think and to create and to manifest. Think, create, and manifest. And they protect us the whole time that we're doing that. Think, create, and manifest. So yes, Empress, we affirm that your process will do, your word will not return unto you void. It will accomplish all that you send it out to do. Yes, it will work. When you work it, will work.
Islam, I have a question.
Islam, Empress.
I see you have, it was the post code?
Yes, post office code. Yes.
Now, when you did your allodial title and put everything, that's how you have addressed your location?
There was no post office code on the title.
Right.
This post office code is simply for everyone who sees it to know that it's not a zip code, that this is actually a post office also. This temple is a post office too. That's why it has a post office code.
Because you also use your domicile as the reservation. I've seen many documents and just trying to, organize it in my mind.
So as many different turbans as we wear, as we do what we're doing, all of our property changes with us. When we're doing postmaster duties, this is the post office. When we're doing judicial duties, which all of our duties are judicial, no matter what the title is, then this is the court. No matter what we're doing, just like the prophet said that your card, your nationality card will change in your pocket. Whatever we're doing, our property is doing it with us, because our property is living. This is living property. So it's a post office. It's a storehouse. It is it's whatever we will for it to be to suit our purposes. It's also a saltwater minerals production place. It's a plant. Depends on what we're doing. It's also a meditation oasis. It changes as often as our turban changes. And from just like when we're at Congress, our turbans are changing even as we speak. At one moment we'll be doing a court action, the next moment we're a lawmaker and doing some other lawmaking thing, and then we become bankers, then we're merchants. We haven't changed our turban, but it's changing with us. So every that we do, the changes happen in the spirit realm, which manifest in the natural as we speak.
Islam. Is the office, the call open?
It is.
Okay, thank you.
Islam. Yeah, so this is Islam Empress.
Of that, I see it, and just as you make those, it comes to me a lot more, and it just opens up. Hopefully, it opens up for everyone else, but it just opens up a whole door because it makes sense. Islam, yes. Thank you.
Yes, Islam. Also, remember when we were in our sleep and we were going to fake court. 1 minute, whoever was acting up there was being the beneficiary, and then the next minute they were the creditor, and the next minute they were the judge, and they hadn't moved. And then the next minute they were pretending to be the bank in their enactment. So they would switch their little fake corporate hats at will, seemingly, in their enactment. We learn from that. We remember from that. You don't know who you it just depends on, what's happening at the time. Islam.
Islam Empress, to give another demonstration, to think about the West movies when he was the sheriff, he was the banker, and he would just change his hat, or yes. Who are you today, or who are you now? So
yes.
It's different. We have many hats.
Oh, yes. They were demonstrating sovereignty. They were enacting sovereignty. A sovereign is all things at all times. That's what sovereignty is. That's what self-government is. Self-government means you don't need anybody with a title to do anything for you because you can do it all yourself. From one second to the other. And see, our ancestors, they knew what sovereignty meant. That's why they put it in the law that jurisdiction can be invoked at any time. And it doesn't matter which jurisdiction. We can invoke them all at the same time if we chose to. If we choose to, and we do. We invoke all sovereign jurisdiction and authority over all and dominion over all. In order to have dominion over someone that was previously acting as a postmaster, you have to know first that they're not a postmaster. That's how you have dominion over them. Then you have to know that you are the postmaster. That's how you have dominion over them. Then you have to know that not only were they not a postmaster, but they are subjects to you. Period. Islam. So now, where sovereignty is concerned, I've been hearing people talk about things like the natural resources and the rare earth minerals and things of that nature, all of those things. We would encourage you, each one of you, who wills to now, because we can't tell sovereigns what to do. But when we first started the process, and again, we're talking about sovereignty, when we first started the process of issuing driver licenses, and we know that driver license is here, and right to travel is up here. It's up higher. That's a high jurisdiction. Right to travel is a supreme jurisdiction. That's the supreme law for the land. The commercial part is driver licenses. We would encourage each and every one of you who've declared your nationality, we would encourage you to issue one license of any kind. It doesn't have to be a driver license. It can be a nursing license. It can be a license for anything. We would encourage you to issue to yourself at least one license. And here's why. When you know that you have the authority to issue even one license of any kind, you also then have the authority, and this is going to be important coming up here, then you automatically have the authority to issue mineral licenses, licenses to pull gold and silver from the land and all other things. Okay? That is a statement, a living statement that you know that everything is yours. Why are we saying that? We're saying that, we're making that statement because the legal system that we've created and that was mimicked by courts and capitalists, quote unquote, subjects in the office of capitalists, that system is the system by which minerals and things of that nature are issued and tributed in an orderly manner. And we do everything decently and in order. And I wouldn't say decently, I would say decently and in order. Everything that we do is orderly. Those who will to stay above the legal system that we've created, that just means they're not going to be engaged in commerce at all. They're just going to live on the land peacefully, and they pull from the land for them and their clan, and they're not going to engage in commerce. That's what a legal system was for. That's why we created the one that we created. Islam nobility.
It's like, I thought we created all lawful processes, and the foreigners came here and created legal processes. And my research divulged that legal processes is the undoing of what's lawful.
So, Justice Sharif, yes and no. In fact, let me clarify that. Let me clarify.
Please.
So, when foreigners came here and capitalized the legal system, that was the undoing. When we said it's okay for you to capitalize the legal system. Because we had a legal system already since ancient Rome, since before ancient Rome. When we decided that we were going to start engaging in commerce with each other and with other nations, we had a legal system. We've uncovered that system. Anything done by foreigners using capital letters and black ink is an attempt to undo and denationalize whatever it is that they attempted to capitalize. Okay? So now that we know that, and now that we realize that, hey, I'm not any name in all capital letters and black ink. That's what nationality and nationalization is about. It's about us knowing that we're not products and we're not persons, that we are the people. The people is expressed with a capital letter at the beginning and all lowercase letters after that. Okay, like what you see on the screen. So, I'm probably not even sharing my screen. Am I sharing my screen? Yes, I am. Okay.
Islam Empress.
Islam Empress.
Now you are. Now it's showing.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for that, Empress. So, we were made to believe first that the names in capital letters in black ink was us. We were made to believe that because that was a part of the scheme. That was a part of the scheme, the enactment. Then when we realized that, hey, we're not supposed to be in capital letters and black ink, not like that. We're not supposed to be that. Then, and this was part of the infiltration into the Moorish Science Temple of America, that there was an attempt, and we're not talking about all temples, but we are talking about some, quite a few. There was an attempt to scare us away from the names that our mothers gave us. There was an attempt to do that, but the Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, keep that because you have an estate in those names. But that has to be clarified. Which name? Is it the one in all capital letters in black ink, or is it the one that you write and express in capitis diminutio minima, which means the first letter capitalized and the rest of the letters lowercase? That's the people. And then there's the sovereigns. And the sovereigns is all lowercase letters. All lowercase letters, some Moors interpreted that as it's too generic. That's what they said. That was the word they used. Generic is when it's in all lowercase letters. The word generic is gene specific. I'll let that stay there because we want to stay on track with what you stated, Justice Sharif. When foreigners do anything, and we accept what they're doing without putting them in their proper place, it's an undoing. It's a no-no.
It's a no-no. It was like, what about when they made fiat legal?
They never made it legal. They couldn't make it legal. You know who made it legal, quote unquote?
No.
You and me. And the rest of the Moors who agreed to be in all capital letters and black ink. That's who made it legal. No one has the authority to do that but us. Nobody can come to this land and start saying, oh, this is legal. This is legal. This is legal. No, they can't. How you going to get past our courts? You can't. Unless we say, okay, we'll let that go. But that's what a Congress and a Senate and a House of Representatives and all of that, that's what all of that was about. It's trying to get the Moors to agree to some stuff and then keep going. Nobody can do anything on this land that we don't allow. Our silence and our using the fiat was the approval. See, Justice Sharif, and I'll say this to you because in the spirit realm, I've seen you struggle with this for a few years now, but I'm going to say it now to you and to anyone else because others will be encouraged by this too. Justice Sharif, you think they're your problem. You think they have more authority than you. You think that they can turn on a system and shock you and send words through and do all of that. They can't do none of that without your permission. None. None. And the day you stop giving them permission to do it, it will stop. That goes for you, me, and everybody. We have just decided, Justice Sharif, we decided this from the very beginning, that no one will govern us. We will govern ourselves, period. Because we're that rebellious against falsehood and fraud. We're not at war. We're just not going to let anyone, because our ancestors said, don't do that. Our ancestors said their word does not mean more than yours. But see, that's what capitalism did. It made you think they were judges, and it made you think that they were you being, us, all of us. It made us think that they were financiers and bankers and police and government and teachers and lawyers and mothers and fathers and priests and preachers and doctors who deliver babies. Capitalism made us think that that's what that was. That's not who that is. It's not. That's why getting rid of capitalism was so important. And when we say getting rid of, we suspended it. So important. Because now they're stripped of all of those titles, those enacted titles, because it's not even real. It's like a movie script. And we said stop acting. But they won't stop acting for you until you stop giving them titles and power and authority. They don't have the authority to govern airways and send words into, directed energy weapons. They don't have authority for that. They have to get you to agree that they have it. You got to say that. You see how quickly we can stop that mess? You have to agree to it. If you don't agree to it, they can't do it. They can't move. Not at all, ever. And the property around you will respond to everything you say, everything you state. No, they can't tap into my computer and do a bunch of stuff. No, can't do it. Can't do it. Because we said so. Don't you think they would have cut this stuff off permanently if they could? But they can't. Why? Because we are not their person. They're our person. And persons do what people say. And people do what God says. And we are God. And then we're the people too. And then we govern persons. So they didn't come here and just randomly start asserting authority. They didn't. That's not that. No. That's not how that works. That's not how authority works. You have to prove that you have the authority to do something. Proof is by evidence. What evidence do you have that they have some authority? I don't have any evidence for that. I don't have any evidence that they have any authority to come here and do whatever. Because, see, Justice Sharif, we have to know where here is. Is here in the funny mirror? Or have you proclaimed and declared that you're on your own land and demonstrated that you're on your own land repeatedly? Have you proclaimed that? What evidence do you have that you're on your own land? Well, let's see. Oh, this sign right here says I'm on my own land. That's my evidence right there. And when I go outside, my own land doesn't try to kill me. The sunshine doesn't try to kill me. It's enhancing. The plants don't try to kill me. They're enhancing. The food doesn't try to kill me. That's how I know I'm on my own land. It's enhancing. The electronics are not trying to kill me and do away with me. That's how I know I'm on my own land. And no fake courts are because we don't go to them because they don't exist on our land. There are no courts but the Moors on our land. There's no government but the Moors on our land. There's no bankers, no finance, no insurance companies, no car dealers, none of that on our land but us. There are no contracts on our land that we didn't write or that we didn't demonstrate and state and approve. None. Not even one. Not one contract on our land that we did not write or initiate. The word initiate is a great word. Initiate means that it started with you. It has to start with you. So even when we talked about, we showed the 3-day revocation piece. But don't let that fool you. There was paperwork that preceded that. That's the difference between just randomly showing up somewhere and asserting all rights and blah, blah, blah. No, we don't randomly show up anywhere. We've already done a lien, levy, and bond before we even go there. And then any contract that comes up, we have perfected rights at all times, nunc pro tunc. And then we do the 3-day cancellation. We just did one not too long ago. So everything that we do, our documentation is as valid as us showing up there and reading the law out and saying, all right, everybody's in their proper status. Now we'll be back here in a few days. We don't go anywhere without our documentation preceding us. And the public record is the preceder, the preceding mechanism. Let me put the preceding system, the public record. So now we don't have to sit down and do 5 affidavits when we go somewhere because we've covered the public record with who we are. We've covered the public record with who we are. And so now, even if we chose to go to a car dealership, it's a ship. It's a ship. Before we even get there, they already know who it is and who's coming and the status and everything because it's already on the public record. They already been notified. And any contracts they're getting canceled within the 3-day period. That's how we do. Because they got to know where they are. The subjects have to know where they are. They know. So, Justice Sharif, I hope that assists you in knowing the difference. No denationalization happens when we do what we do. But anytime you let anything foreign get in there, then it's not going to be what it should be. That's why your paperwork should precede you. See, before Justice Sharif, we were signing contracts just like gangbusters in our sleep. Didn't say who we were. You know, we thought that it was our credit report that they were looking at. We thought it was ours when it wasn't because we didn't write it. And then they would say, oh, congratulations, you got this new car. Who even are you getting a new car? Who's really getting the new car? Who's really doing that? A court is doing that, and you're the living. A court is doing that. So then you have to ensure that you're not acting like a corpse, because acting is hypocrisy from our previous Congress. B, that whoever it is that you're speaking to knows their status and yours. Proper identification of the parties must take place first. See, that capitalism is not proper identification of the parties. That's why they were claiming to be, oh, they're the wealthiest, they're the judge, they're the police, blah, blah, blah. That's not proper identification of the parties. And the only way for them to be properly identified is when we identify them properly. They can't even identify themselves. Look at it. Look at what they've been claiming to be. They've been claiming to be the sovereigns. They've been claiming to be the bankers, the police. They've been claiming all of that. That's how you know they're incompetent. So foreigners coming here are subject to us at all times. They've always known that. It's only when we did not properly rebut what was going on that any of that stuff could be enacted. So now let me just add to that information based on a demonstration that we did recently. Now that we have gotten rid of the corpses by lien and levies and so on and so forth, and courts, our court actions and our money and all of that, we've gotten rid of the corpses. What do you think is going to happen with that thing that we were previously calling a service? In other words, who's going to cut the grass and do all the works and, you know, be the waiters and waitresses? Who's going to do all of that stuff? Can anyone even guess or know what happens with that space. Because Moors have been concerned about that and not wanting to do all of that. Islam.
So, well, there'll be Moors who will do that, but there'll also be the subjects who submit to our authority and don't want to be sent off to wherever they might come from.
Absolutely, yes. And there's a third group also that they've already started manifesting. They started manifesting about 5 years ago.
Islam, are you referring to the Moors that have been detained?
No, they're going to have, depending on their level of understanding of who they are, they'll have the subjects in the office of servants and things of that nature. They'll have all of that too, just like we do.
What about the ones deporting themselves back to? I mean, they're sleeping Moors, they're subjects. But they still come under the same umbrellas. But I would wonder if one is sleeping to that degree and seemingly self-deporting. This is what is the term, as opposed to allowing fake policy enforcers to move them. Then they would come under sleeping Moors or subjects, because they'll be looking for, until they get themselves right and in the right state of mind and place. Would that not qualify?
So those who are self-deporting, this is what they're finding out. They're finding out that the very thing that they left and deported for, they're going to run straight into it when they get where they're going.
That's the absolute. Sorry, carry on.
No, go ahead, Empress.
No, I was just saying, because I look at that myself, and I know that this is actually in their favor.
Yes.
Because it's like the boot up the body, the test before you even knew anything about tests, and I know all about that, but and that's at the point where their head gets back on straight and the mind, they will realize, particularly the Moors, they will realize that they are the wealthy ones.
Yes.
And their estate is here. And it was even where they were, but they weren't in the right jurisdiction. But I absolutely agree with you that while it appears to be, that's the funny mirror.
Yeah, it is.
And
see, they're running from one part of the funny mirror to another part of the funny mirror, so they're going to meet the same thing.
Exactly, and then they will realize, because once you hit that wall, that wall then will become your mirror, seeing yourself and knowing and every other thing. The
beauty is that the ancestors don't let us just keep running into funny mirror stuff. Along the way, they start showing us who we are.
Right.
It just depends on on our willingness to know who we are.
And that's a big piece. My dad always would say, my father would always say, if you can't hear, you must feel.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what this is. And there are levels. Because I certainly knew who I was, but when the testing came, I didn't know testing was part of this, and it actually I mean, I was in the deep end, double deep. But what did I learn? I can swim very well.
Yes. Not just swim, but fly too.
fly, right. In fact, I saw a dolphin jumping out of the water. That's and wings. But that's exactly what this is about. And it's all in one's perception and jurisdiction, dimension, openness to see something different, hear something different.
The beauty too for them, for those that say self-deport, quote unquote, is that they have a truth center, just like we do, because they are our brothers and sisters. They have a truth center.
Yes.
And that truth center is going to resonate as they move around and do what they're doing. The truth center is going to say, wait a minute, this doesn't look right. Wait a minute, that, and then start showing them the information.
Yeah. I affirm.
Yeah.
I affirm. It's funny, you said, you stated earlier about the direct energy weapon.
Yeah.
The word is a direct energy weapon. The sound is a direct energy weapon.
Yes. Those are the only direct energy weapons. Those are the first ones. Those are the initial ones, is the word.
Is the word. That's the ancient technology. That's the ancient of ancient technology.
Sound. Yeah.
Yeah, I yield.
The space that has been created, now that corpses and all of that is out of the way. I was out at the territory not too long ago, last strong, so about 6 or 7 days ago. And I sat down at a place, and someone came and sat next to me because people wait. There is a waiting area. And the subject next to me continued to try and strike up a conversation with me. And I didn't feel like talking, but it didn't matter. So I just, of course, what is your name? And he said his name, and he said that he was from Afghanistan. I said, okay. I said, oh, well, how long have you been here? The court action continued, so I started asking questions. How long have you been here? He said 3 days. I said, okay. And then he started asking some questions too. And since we were doing court, I said, okay, I'll make statements to the questions. So I asked him, why was he here? Listen, Morris, they have a script. And it's truth. He said, I came here to serve the Americans. So I said, can you repeat that? And because he had a thick accent, and then he put it in his translator, and it came out, I came here to serve the Americans. I thought, okay. So that was the ancestor showing us who was here serving us initially. Okay. The modern ones didn't come until later. They didn't come until later. But it was just interesting to have the conversation during the court action, because out of all that he could have said, he said that. And I know there are no mistakes. The ancestors know what they're doing when those types of court actions present. Then he asked some of the strangest requests. He had requests. One of his requests was, could he come and stay here at my domicile? To host him. That was the word he used. To host him. Could I host him? And of course I said no, but the way that I made the statement, he was smiling. He took the no the right way, the way that it was given. But I just found it interesting that that's why in the quote-unquote media that the actors were yelling so loud about the southern border and about who's coming through the southern border. Their replacement, the ones who know they're subject to us, coming here by the thousands and tens of thousands every day. That's that third group. They're already here. They're coming from everywhere. They're already here. I was watching another video earlier today, and one of the subjects who knows the whole story about us and everything, they all know. But he said that if he were from Africa, he would immediately go to Europe right now. And if he were from Yemen or Pakistan or Afghanistan, he would come to North America. That's what he said. The reason he said that is because the Moors we govern Europe. There are people that you were looking at who thought they were at Europe. In all capital letters in black ink, Europe. Because any place that is geographical is also jurisdictional. Any place that's geographical is also jurisdictional. There's a jurisdiction called Europe. That persons who were here were pretending like, oh, we're at Europe. So we don't, we don't have to do this, but we can do that. We don't have to do that, but we can do this. Because the Moors haven't rebutted it. Persons from Pakistan and Afghanistan and all of these places that were in capital letters in black ink, not the real land, not the real people, but persons, coming here under those labels and brands, were doing things. And the only way that could be done is if we didn't rebut it.
Islam,
Empress.
All of that comes under the 14th Amendment. That's the 14th Amendment corporate ward states. The stateless beings. And that was where, when we consented or did not rebut, as you state, then we are captured under the same thing.
Yes.
Because all of those, there's a nationality, and without a nationality, that 14th Amendment citizenship it has no standing. These are persons, as you state, corporations, and again, different jurisdiction. There's no state involved. It's stateless.
It's stateless. Capitalism is a stateless thing unless we put it in its proper place, which we've done.
Correct.
That's the only reason that they're making the confessions on the public record that they're making about capitalism.
Exactly, because they have no state to go to, and they want to be allowed to remain.
They're all trying to stay here.
Well, they're not all going to get to.
So any of them who want to stay here can stay here with the proper terms in place. That's why it's called terms. A term is a word, a couple of words put together. That's what a term is.
Yep.
And we have no issues, none whatsoever. This government that we are has no issues when we speak from our courts. None. Peacefully, knowing that no one can even breathe if we say stop breathing.
Islam.
It's our breath that animated them in the first place. Just know that.
You know, when you know that, when one knows that, there is no space nor place for anything but peace, because you know.
It was our breath that was being used to cause things to move around, including dead zombies and corpses.
Yeah.
They were using our words to get up and walk around and pretend to be a judge, and pretend to be a police, and pretend to be a bank, and pretend to be rich and wealthy. That's how powerful the word is.
That is. That is.
So, Islam Empress.
I've experienced what you've mentioned early about the people who are here to work from Pakistan and Afghanistan. I was bowed to twice, and it was those people from those countries. And when they realized that I knew who I was and I had identification saying so, they were ecstatic. I was in shock, to that they were, and that because I'm not used to that. But anyway, I witnessed that. So,
Islam. The last few words that you said were distorted, Empress. But we heard you initially, Islam.
Yes, I witnessed what you're conveying today.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a reason why he was pursuing the conversation so much so. He pursued the conversation. And when I say pursued, none of my body language worked in terms of I don't feel like talking right now. But the ancestors speak when they speak through us, so we just speak. But they know who to come to now. They know that it's us now. He even mentioned that he was looking for work. So of course we gave our information, and we're doing what we do, which is introducing them to the literature, because before anybody can even work with us, they have to know that they're not a corporation. Because see, some of them, and before we woke up, all of them was coming here as something in all capital letters in black ink. Ellis Island was capital letters in black ink. New York, state of New York, quote unquote, all of that was capital letters in black ink. All of that paper. See, that's how we know that the fraud only existed on paper, is because you have to use letters. You have to use letters. And what do those letters look like? Who originated those letters or who wrote them? So, and I'll say this in the interest of the social sciences, because more science is all science. Whether it be in the enactment or whether it be now, where we're not actors, we're not acting, we're being ourselves. We were either, so in the enactment, we were the control group. That's the group that everyone else controls. Okay, that was in the enactment. We were the control group. Now that we know who we are the control group. The control group is the group that controls everything else. Everything else. That's who we are. So you see the difference in the terminology and the intention. We were the control group in the previous era's enactment according to our actions and our behavior. We were controlled by everyone else in the enactment. We are the control group, but now it's the way that it should be. And those who study social sciences and social psychology, they talk about control groups and special interest groups, because that's who everybody else was, a special interest group. In the previous era, because we were the control group, in other words, the group everyone controls, everyone claimed an interest in what we were doing, financially and otherwise, and spiritually and all of that. They were claiming, they laid claim to everything in the previous era. This era, we're the control group. We control everything else, and not only do we have an interest in everything else, we actually have full authority and full jurisdiction over everything else. Everything. That's not an overnight process. That's a process that you build the systems, you activate the systems, connect them, and make sure that the ancient system is fully uncovered first. That's the first 7 years. The next 7 years, after the first 7 years, is moving out where your systems and ensuring that those systems deliver and convey what they're supposed to deliver and convey. That's what the next 7 years is. Anybody who studies political science will tell you, political scientists know that regime change takes 7 years. In other words, to topple a actors acting as a government, to put that in its proper place, it actually takes 7 years. Political science knows this. And then once that's done, you implement the laws, the head is established and knows that the head is the head. the arms, the legs, the body knows what and what it's supposed to be doing. There's a system. And once that system is in place, what was the purpose of the system in the first place? To convey things, to have things. When you say come, he, she, it comes. When you say go, he, she, it goes. That's what systems do. This next 7 years is where we create everything that we will to have. We create everything. We have dominion over what we saw previously. We have dominion over that stuff. Okay? Because there are tools on our land. We have dominion over those as we continue to look at them and then create. Look at them and then create. So that's what the next 7 years will be. It will be continued dominion over all and the creation of all things for us. Behold, all things are become new. Hopefully we have clarified, and we will have plenty of assistance with everything that we will to have. Now, really quickly, as we conclude this Congress, if you all will remember, we activated the Al-Moroccan American Exchange. We activated all the companies, all the resources that companies were using. We activated all of that. We funded everything. And as we were doing that demonstration, we looked at someone a subject whose name was Louis Cass Pacer. Louis Cass Pacer was a subject who went about capitalizing, along with George Washington and Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin and all of them. They went about capitalizing in their enactment everything that they saw. They went about capitalizing it in their enactment. That's why they were called the founders, because everything they found, they said, we can't claim it as the people because we're not the people, so we're gonna have to capitalize this and claim it since the Moors aren't using it. Louis Cass Pacer did a lot of that writing. George Washington started all of that, quote unquote, in the enactment. And that's why they see him in their enactment in the funny mirror as their founding father, quote unquote. And so all we've done is a reversion of estate on all of that, Justice Sharif. That's how we know that nobody could come here and just do stuff randomly, because did we need permission to decapitalize everything? No. Islam, Empress.
The link underneath. Can you share that, please?
Sure. In fact, let me open it up and see, because you may not be able to see what it is, because the link is to something on my hard drive. This is on my hard drive. This is Louis Cass Pacer. We studied him. We did the study on him when we introduced the Moroccan-American exchange. This guy was an enacted immigrant, and he came here and he started doing a bunch of things. It says here, he came here as an immigrant. He married someone here, and he started intermingling with the Moors who were here. And then one of the Moors died, and he began to capitalize the business. And he found that the businesses were so easy to capitalize that that's all he did. He spent a whole bunch of time capitalizing businesses. That's what he did.
Islam.
Okay. Islam.
When you say the businesses were so easy to capitalize, what do you mean? Nobody was rebutting what he was doing, or what?
Right. And Justice Sharif, that's what I'm saying about nobody came here and just randomly started doing things. They had to have. We had to actually see them doing it and not say anything about it.
Well, when I forget exactly the date, when that coup was formed and they stood up, and I understand they was armed and pulled pistols on our ancestors in Congress and told them to step down or die. We didn't let them do that. They just did it.
Well, wait a minute now. How did they? Well, but you got to remember, Justice Sharif, how did they even get in the building? That means that
we invited them in and taught them.
How are they going to pretend to be a Congress if they don't even know how? They got to watch the real Congress and then start acting like Congress. See, if you give them an inch, they take a mile. So that's why every word out of our mouth should be court actions, no matter who we talking to. No, it's not he, ha, ha, how you doing? No. What is your name? And then I got some questions for you. You see what I'm saying? They didn't just show up with guns. Who even gave them permission to act like they could carry a gun? Where's the weapons laws? They've been on the books. The Second Amendment's been on the books. We had to see them do it and let them get away with it and not rebut it. Who let them in the building? Who let them start calling themselves congressmen and statesmen? Who did that and didn't say nothing? Who let them put on a suit in the first place and show up in wherever they showed up? So we can't be mad at them. They were doing what they should have done. When we slack off and think, oh, it don't matter. Oh, he can call himself a judge. I'll call him a judge too. That is literally against the law. So how we gonna be outlaws and be mad at them? No, that's not how this works. They have zero authority to even breathe if we say stop. That's in the Biblios. We who were already here breathed the breath of life into them. There never was a time when we were not. So how are we going to be mad at them? That's like being mad at, and I'm not comparing our subjects to a dog, but you let the dog in the house, and next thing you know, the dog is on the bed, and then he in the kitchen, and then he up on the counter with the cat over the food, and start peeing and pooping everywhere, and we mad at them. Why? That doesn't make any sense. We can't be mad at them if we still keep trying to go to these fake courts and when we know it's active. Talking about we scared of being kidnapped. You calling yourself a kid who's taking a nap. So now what? We can't be mad at them. We got to grow up. And we're grown. We know we are adults. We are the majority. It's time for us to just know that we can't be mad at them. They were just doing what we told them to do. If you call him a judge, he's supposed to act like one. He's supposed to do what you tell him. You see, they're just doing what we say, what we tell them to do. Why are we mad at that? If you call them the light company and a lawyer and an insurance company, they're supposed to act like one. That's why we don't call them nothing but subjects. And that's exactly, and we keep it there. Even in the most seemingly casual conversation. You know why they call it a casual conversation? Because very quickly, if you think it's casual, you'll become the casualty. Because that's war. That's war. Proper identification of the parties has not taken place. That will make you a casualty in that moment until you re-invoke. So, you know, we got to put on the God robes. You know, they used to say, put on your big boy and your big girl pants. Put on your God robes and your turbans and be yourself. And stop blaming other persons and subjects. Stop blaming them. Don't blame them. And this is I'm just speaking in general to everyone. We can't blame them. The ones those voices that come onto this platform right here, we can't be mad at them. We can't be mad at them. But what we do is edit them out. We edit them out. That way they can't even speak on the public record because we are saying no. We're doing our job. When this airs onto the public record, you're not going to hear any of that. You're not going to hear it. Because we have the authority and the power.
Islam,
Empress.
Yes. I'd like to share the Holy Circle 7 Quran, Moorish Holy Temple, chapter 15, as it verse 23, as it reads, "Your priests have bound upon the people burdens far too great to bear. They live in ease upon the hard-earning wages of the poor. You lawyers, doctors, scribes are useless cucumbers of the ground. They are but tumors on the body of the state. They toil not, neither do they spin, yet they consume the profits of your marks of trade. Your rulers are adulterers, extortioners, and thieves, regarding not the rights of any man. And robbers ply their callings in the secret hills. The holy temple you have sold to thieves. Their dens are in the sacred places set apart for prayer." That's long.
Mm-hmm. So, thank you for reading that, Empress. I'll say this about even that reading. The reading is saying that they're not really who they say they are. You see what I'm saying? It's calling them thieves, claiming to be lawyers and priests and all of that. But they're really thieves. And listen, they can't even be a thief if you speak the way you're supposed to speak, they won't be a thief. Can't steal what they can't possess.
Or given freely, for that matter. Because I remember having a conversation, and it was stated that when everything got chaotic, whatever, and everything was asked, and they were given freely, but once people got to the point where they forgot how to ask for things, people started stealing things because it was. The enactment was, and the program was that thick, and things was just out of order, as it were.
So this is what I know about that, Empress, because you saying you're right about that. When they ask, did we do the court action and tribute properly?
Yeah.
Did we properly identify them?
Mhm.
Were they asking or demanding?
No, they were asking.
That means court action, and then if it be our will, they can have some. That's the way it is with everything even now. That might sound tyrannical to some people, but think about how many people have prayed and asked for that their health be returned to them, only to die 2 weeks later. So somebody somewhere is governing things. We are the government. That's why it's so important for us to continue speaking. And always, no matter what, we will do court actions. Let me tell you, this last 60 to 90 days, we've been doing court actions, and we were nervous. We were nervous a little bit. Don't matter. Still got to do the court actions. Still had to do them. And you know what? Nobody moves until we say so. Nobody moves until we say so. Nobody. And they know that already, though. Because we've spoken properly to the system, they can't move when we speak. Because the system says, you're not the fiduciary, you're subject to her. She's the fiduciary. Me. I'm the fiduciary. No one can move. So, and I'll tell you this, that previous system, if there's someone around you who has faith in that previous system, they may try to use them to get to you, but you still have to be yourself. You still have to be yourself. Whether they get mad at you or not, you still have to be yourself on your own land. We've been through that demonstration a few times, actually. We're going to be ourselves because we already know what our ancestors told us. Why did we even come here? To be ourselves and to have dominion over everything and everyone. And when I say everyone, I mean subjects. So our systems that we've put in place make the great wealth transfer a reality for us. That's why we have to continue to stand. Because even some around us who may have faith in the previous system, which that's declining so quickly because that previous system just keep playing them like dum-dums. I'm talking about all over the place. That it was our job, it was our responsibility that if we willed to see the great wealth transfer happen, that we uncover our ancient system to do that, to make that happen. And it's already started. The great wealth transfer started in the spirit realm. It started in the spirit realm for all of us. There is no greater wealth than to know who we are in the spirit realm first. Because everything in the natural realm is made manifest by that which is in the spirit. So when you, in your spirit, get peace, when you manifest peace in your spirit, that's access to the rest of the estate. It has to be peace in your system. That means you can't be mad at subjects. Because, see, people are wondering, how come they don't have a new conveyance? How come they don't have this, that, and the third? Hold up. Seek ye first the empire, and all those things will be added unto you. Not unto you, but to you. Those things will be added to you. That's a spiritual statement first. Our empire is us first. Us first. That's the natural order. We are first where the natural order is concerned. We have to make that manifest, and we've already made that manifest. Each one of us individually must manifest that we are first. Matriarchs, I'm speaking to you specifically. We don't need someone else to tell us we're first. Your womb does that. Your womb will tell you and everybody around you that you're first. W-O-M-B, the womb, means that you're first. Okay, I don't need my consort to constantly be telling me that, because I just am. I just am. My heiress just is. She is first for her first. You can't convince anybody else until you know it. Thought I would just throw that in there. Are there any other comments or wisdom from this amazing Congress?
Islam. So when I thought the link was the evidence of, or the documentation of what you stated about the pay decapitalization law resource return to the government, I thought that was, that part. But is there anything? Yeah, is there anything that we can see?
It would be the Al-Moroccan American Exchange video that we did, where Louis Cass Pacer was concerned and what he did. It's that video.
Okay.
So the video for the Al-Moroccan American Exchange is that one.
Okay.
Because
that must have been in January or February or March.
It's where we listed it was over 200 companies that, let's see, that we decapitalized because those 200 and something companies were the kind of like the foundational companies from which most of the other companies that we saw in the previous era sprang from. I think this is it. This is it right here. This is where we went through all of the companies that Lewis Cass Pacer had capitalized, quote unquote. Yeah, this is it right here. And then we decapitalized them all.
Islam.
Here, I'll put this link in the chat.
Islam Empress.
Islam Empress.
Anna Jo, could you let her back in or open the Congress?
Sure. Islam. And so what we were doing when we did this video, when we did this Congress, yes, let me put this in the chat. It's definitely worth going back and reviewing because there's the list of the companies: Puget Sound Agricultural Company, Hudson Bay Company, Weyerhaeuser, Pacer Companies, United States Postal Service, Federal Reserve, General Motors, Rutherfordton Railroad Company. There were a bunch of Norfolk Southern Railroad Company, Exxon Oil, Standard Oil, the United States Military. This that subject went through and capitalized, quote unquote, in his enactment all of this. So all we had to do was rebut it. This video is going to be, he will be in the packet. Okay. Yeah. So the link is in the chat for this decapitalization law. So now you can go back and look at that law and at what we did with the companies, the railroads, all the companies that were the start of computer companies, all the companies that were the start of banks, all the companies that were the start of construction, mining companies, gold mining companies, all of that. The military, the Federal Reserve, all of that was enacted as being capitalized by Lewis Cass Pacer and put into a fake trust. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yep. All we have to do is write the stuff, is write the laws, write everything. Okay? Because we governed everything and everything was ours. Our Grand Sheikh Taj talks about the birth certificate fraud that happened. All they did was look at the records and capitalize them. And then use fiat to do things. All we had to do was decapitalize everything and put it on the public record and start using it. You see? So nobody came here and conquered the Moors and swords and guns and all of that. No, it was the word. It was the words. It was the letters. It was the words. And the words that came out of our mouth. Islam.
So this is a law. So what's the law number? Is it going to be the date in which it was stated previously?
Yes.
You know, like we were doing before, when we would put it on government letterhead and put it in things and put on the record.
We gave it a number. You would have to go back and look at the video to get that, but it was the date. It was the date that we did that. Yeah. We have done so much work. Oh, my word.
I know.
We've done so much work, and now it's starting to manifest the way that it should. And for that, we're grateful. We've done so much work. We put so many laws on the record. We did so much work.
Uh-huh. And yeah, they taking the command, and they're doing their portion as far as the gold standard.
Of
You know, they
course.
got to do their command, and they're doing as commanded.
Yeah.
They're calling it new as if, but you know.
It's the words. They have to do what we tell them. They have to. They don't have a choice. And see, we knew that. We just didn't know how long it was going to take for it to start to manifest the way that it's manifesting now. It had to be in the money system, because that was the biggest hurdle for the Moors mentally. And that's why we focused on that, because it was our courts were, from our perspective, our courts were easy to implement, because all we had to do was speak the law. It was the Moors seeing that whatever is manifested in this dimension, that we have dominion over it without the fiat. We have dominion over it without the fiat. But that's a process. And that was actually, I think that probably was the biggest hurdle, was getting everyone mentally to know that we have to take the time and come together, unify, and do the process, and put the processes on the public record, all of them. That is a demonstration or a statement that says that we are ready to govern, that we're fit to govern, is by actually going ahead and governing. That's how you show that you know how to govern, is you go ahead and do it. So, I see all of everything that is rightfully ours, which is everything, but I see the manifestation of all of that. I see it manifested. All we have to do now is just continue doing what we've been doing, which is speaking, write the law, speak it, and then be ourselves at all times. That's how estates are governed at all times. There's never a time when you're not yourself. Never a time. I don't care how much you're laughing, joking, asleep, awake, exercising, shopping, no matter what it is, we have to be ourselves at all times. And the only way to perfect that is to just keep doing it, to where it's a reflex. It's a reflex. Reflexes beat fear. Reflexes beat fear by a long shot. That means if you make it a habit, it's nothing to be afraid of, because you already know what you're going to do. When there was someone who was pretending to have some authority, saying that they were going to come here because they want to, they wanted to they wanted to act some things out. We know they can't even come here. We know they can't come here. They have to know where they're coming first. They can't come to a place with a two-letter state. That's not this place. If they think they're coming here, they're going to get lost. They're going to get lost. They will never be able to find this place if they think they're coming to a place that's a two-letter state in all capital letters in black ink. So, and Anyway, are there any other questions, comments, wisdom from this amazing Congress?
Islam.
Islam, Empress.
You know, in England, there's like it's almost a cuss word, and it is, oh, get lost. And I'm sitting here and I'm listening, and it's like, oh my goodness, you realize that was a jurisdictional thing? That was an order.
Yes.
Literally, you were saying, get out of here. This is not your state.
Right.
Get away. Get away. I mean, it's just something. It's always there. It's always there.
Yes.
As you state about how much work, I mean, I was literally thinking about that. How much work, how many videos, how many years you've been doing this. And
yes.
I mean, literally, I think about, you know, the 3-4 years for myself, and it was literally, you know, wobbly-legged for a minute there when I'm just thinking in the bigger scheme of things,
mm-hmm.
how much has been done, and the foundation that
yes.
you've laid, the Congress, but you spearheaded it. I mean, you know what I'm saying. I'm speaking in
yes,
terms of
Islam.
myself to you, but and you stayed. And
we don't have a choice. It's from our perspective. We don't have a choice.
Well, and we don't. We really don't. That's I know this because I'm here too.
Yes.
I'm here too. Yeah, we don't. And it's not that we don't, but we don't. You get what I'm saying?
But we don't. Yeah.
Everything, but no, there is no other option.
Nope.
There is no other option.
Not for what we see for ourselves, because what we see for ourselves is everything. And we're talking for the next 1,000 years minimum.
Absolutely. 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 The path it's laid. It's ours to stand on and
yes.
build. Remember and build and be ourselves. Yeah.
You know, Empress, this being ourselves was not fun for me for a while. It was scary. Now it's different. It's fun now, but it was not fun at first.
No, I can relate. I can relate. I've been accused of being, oh, you're always yourself, because I am. This is who I am at all times. But at the same time, yeah, man, I can absolutely relate. I can absolutely relate. But it is the only way to be. We are not. You are not if you are not yourself.
Yes. See, because if you're not yourself, who are you?
There you go. You're at the mercy of the wind and the waves and whomever comes along and starts yapping and telling your story.
Yes.
They put on whatever they want to fling onto you. With their words, they dress you.
Ooh. Ooh. Wow. Wow. And see, we get to decide what we wear.
Hello. I'm naked before I let somebody else dress me. Yeah.
Well, you know, they used to talk about the emperor has no clothes. And I used to wonder, what does that mean? But it's exactly what you just stated, Empress.
That's it. That's exactly. From the other side of the mirror.
Yeah, from the other side, they used to say that the emperor has no clothes.
I was having that conversation with a friend of mine. We were talking about that I'm the one who's going to say, nah, he's not wearing anything. Whereas everybody else is going along and saying, yes.
Right.
Beautiful clothing there.
You know, even those of us who have the in our personality, we were always straightforward, shoot from the hip. But if we claim to be U.S. citizens, even in our sincerity and and our confidence, we were still being fraud.
No ifs, ands, or buts.
And I'm specifically talking about me because I'm a Leo, and Leos, we're supposed to be the ones who were always shooting from the hip and all of this stuff, but we didn't know that we were not U.S. citizens.
And
we just didn't know.
Well, neither did I. I actually went and became one. Think about that. I have put my foot in every kind of deity but that was my journey. You see, the thing about it is I can look, and I've rebutted all of it, but I can look back and say, my gosh, and there were times where I was fighting for something, and I was resistant, and I said, no, man, this is mine. Got it, only to learn years later, I didn't need to do that. But I had to have that. That was my journey. That was my journey.
And everybody who, like, whenever we took our job application to the place and it said, are you a U.S. citizen? And we was like, yes. Everybody who looked at that knew that was a lie.
Let me share a story. So I was in Oregon, Portland, Oregon, years ago, before I even had my first son. And they brought in this new, I think it was called the I-92 or some sort of new identification thing.
Yes.
And the woman who was a German subject, came, and we had been friendly, I mean, in there before, not necessarily outside of work. But anyway, she came, and she was filling out the forms. And she came and she brought the form to me and she said, I don't know I can't fill this out for you. Are you a Pacific Islander or are you, remember there was Pacific Islander, black, white, but there were some subcategories under. And I, of course, checked. At that time I'd forgotten because my mother had always told us, never check black, check other or something. But that was long forgotten. But anyway, and I checked black, and do you know, and I always remember this woman was a totally different woman to me after that. I mean, years ago, and I will never forget how this woman was all of a sudden now, it was like she didn't know me, but I didn't know, but I can look back. That's nearly 30 odd years ago. And now know, but that's how powerful identity.
Yes. The spirit of a person changes. The spirit of a person changes based on what we say about who we are.
That's exactly. And I'm telling you, I'm standing here and stating, I know for a fact.
Yes. Yeah. When you go into, like, if we go, as we're going throughout the territory, people change, the persons change, and I'm saying persons for a reason. Persons change the way they treat you, the way they respond to you, and everything based on what you know and what you state about you.
Yep.
Even if I'm going through a drive-through to get a cup of coffee, I still have to do court actions, or else sometimes they switch up a little bit. If you don't say yourself, I will ask, what is your name, so fast it'll make your head spin.
It's a
And in my spirit, I'm doing the court action. Sometimes I don't say anything. In my spirit, I'm doing the court action, though.
Mm-hmm.
So that no one gets confused about what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
No one gets confused about what's happening. Because they will switch up on you.
No, it's absolutely the truth. It's we all carry an energy and a frequency. We carry the light from the spirit with us. And when we have a powerful light, and we do not know that we do, or we are not in full alignment with that power, with our who we are, and we are disturbing, actually. And that disturbance, it comes from us, because we are not fully in alignment, and especially when we have the power and authority that we have, we can, when we are not in alignment with ourselves and our spirit and our spirituality and our
identity.
Our identity and that's our energy. Our identity is our energy. That's
so important. It's so important.
Right. And because the spiritual actually comes first.
Yeah.
When we are not in alignment with that, we are literally wrecking balls walking through the earth.
Well, people can see in the spirit realm. The spirit realm can see us coming before we get there.
Right.
Just like we can feel something is going to. We can feel things before they happen.
Yeah.
Before any of us is tested, we know that test is coming in our spirit. People can act like they were surprised all day long, but you knew you were going to be tested at some point. We knew that. We knew it. Sometimes we forget that we knew, but we knew.
There's something. There's something, even if you don't know what it's going to be or how it's going to present, or any.
You know something is something. You know something is coming.
There's definitely signs and there's absolutely.
There's a cognitive, a spiritual cognitive. I won't call it a dissonance. I won't call it that, but I will call it a cognitive awareness. And here's the thing, even about that cognitive awareness, because I've done this demonstration many times. If my spirit is uneasy about something, saying that something might be coming, I can speak against it and it won't come.
Yeah.
So we can speak against, because see, we call forth our own test anyway. We can say no, not that one.
And it's true. It's about being in tune, because when you're not in tune, you don't have the opportunity until such time that you become in tune to direct or redirect or cut off or switch off, because we generate, we operate, and we destroy. That's God. I mean, that frequency and that power and those powers. But you have to be able to see it, sense it, feel it in some fashion, and then do something with it at your will.
Yes. We have to decide. We have all the authority and to decide all of that.
Yeah.
For some of us, I know for me, when we first nationalized, we were just ready for whatever came. Just because we didn't know what to expect. We didn't know we were going to be doing, POW power jail demonstrations, and we didn't know we were going to be doing all of that.
Good Lord. No.
But you know what? It's a good thing we didn't. In Rashasha, it's a good thing we didn't know that was coming.
Can you imagine? No, ma'am. Yeah, you're absolutely right. You are. Would I have mailed the papers? You know, that type of thing. I had no idea. And that's it. Ignorance is bliss at a certain point in time.
To a degree, yeah.
I'm not giving it, you know, full weight there, but
yeah.
no, and that's it. You have to jump. You have to be willing sometimes to jump in the deep end.
We went with both feet in from day one.
And that's right.
Both feet in from day one.
Just
straight on to the land.
Once I knew it to be the truth in my spirit,
yeah,
I said yes, and then catch up with the learning. I mean, that's catch up with the study. But once it resonated, it was the missing link. It was the missing. Yeah.
Yep. That space was filled, and to this day, is still filled.
Who's going to unfill it? Not me.
That space is filled, and I'm so glad it's filled because it was not pleasant to have that missing piece.
No, man. No.
Of who am I and why am I here and what's my purpose and all of that.
You know, and that's really the truth. I remember one time, this man, he was a colleague of my my former husband, because he was a husband of that. Anyway, I remember him coming up to me and saying, looking at my features and telling me where I was from and who. And, you know, I remember countering, but I remember afterwards being very annoyed. Not that I accepted necessarily what he said, but I didn't have a counter.
Mm.
Get what I'm saying? I mean, I knew where the parents, where they had domiciled, but I remember, and that's another, you know, decades ago type of situation. I remember being very disturbed by the fact that how dare you and who are you? But I couldn't necessarily bring forth my story, my truth. And that's the beautiful piece about part and parcel, knowing, yes, who I am.
I'm just glad there are no loose ends on who I am, where I come from, because there were so many loose ends. Even though my mother, you know, she pointed out the graves, she took us to the graveyard so we could see everybody and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
That still didn't give me what nationality has given me. It didn't give me what nationality has given me.
Nationality is nature, nativity. It's everything. I mean, all of the graves and all of those things. I mean, my mother won't even share those things with me. It's like pulling teeth to try to get. It's very interesting. And I listen. I do overstand because I'm learning more and more about her history here, and she was raised with a nationality, but it was, you know, forgotten, over, covered, and whatever else. But there, without a nationality, who are you? What are
Straight up stateless. Straight up stateless. And it's not funny, but it's just like,
it's the fact.
Straight up stateless.
That means state of mind, state of location, state of energy, state of everything. And when you have no state, you are not. I mean, it's just.
Well, that makes you a lunatic.
And property.
Exactly. Well, I yield. Noble was saying something.
Yeah, he was saying, and property. It makes you property.
And
also.
Property. You are a kid. You're a goat. You're a cow. You're a shoe. Your inventory. That's it. That's it.
See, now the ancestors are telling each and every one of us that we have a huge message for the whole earth that we must tell.
Yeah.
And it's that.
I got goosebumps here. Yeah, that's absolutely the truth. That is
Oh, yes.
the truth.
Oh, yes.
Without the nationality, there is no nation.
And
Without,
we are a nation. We are the nation. Islam.
And we are the only nation.
Yeah.
That's it. So, this, I mean, wealth doesn't even capture Islam. I yield, yes.
Islam. Well, let's keep our history, our story, our narrative, our truth. Let's keep our truth on our lips at all times so that we know who we are and so that we continue to manifest. The wealth is everywhere. But there's no wealth that's more valuable than we are. Okay? We're the rare earth minerals. Gold has no value without us saying it does. And then now gold has value because we said it. We made that statement. Everything gets its value from us. So let's keep that in mind as we continue to demonstrate. There are some big things planned for us. All we have to do is move when the Spirit says move. And I will say this, many of you recently in the last 30 days have gotten word in the Spirit that it's time to move on what you know. I know I'm not the only one.
I affirm.
I know I'm not the only one.
Islam.
It's time to move. We're up. Also, speaking of movement and us being up, we have had to slow our saltwater mineral operation just temporarily. We've had to slow it somewhat in order to upscale it. And the ancestors have thrown some new things up for us. So we're going to continue with that, but if you've ordered saltwater minerals from us, the sea salt, please be patient with us. We are finding different ways to grow with the demand. So with that being stated, whatever the ancestors have spoken to you over the last 30 days about time to get up and time to go, time to move, for some of you, it's going to be time to move means plan to move and then move on it, whatever it is. Plan it, write it out, and then publish it in the way that the Spirit tells you to, because some of that stuff doesn't need to be published, and then move on it. Islam. With that being stated,
Islam, just before you leave, before
yes,
we close.
this is Empress Amora. Yes.
I want to share my gratitude to, I believe it is Virgie Dorsey and Linda Morell from Louisville, or near Louisville, Kentucky territory for a tribute. It was some artichoke shavings or something that I received, or leaves, yes. And I would just want to say gratitude for the tribute.
That is beautiful.
Gratitude to you, Empress, for bringing it up.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I sent it.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm glad you got it.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Also, several of you have emailed me quite a bit recently. I am not ignoring your email. I do see them, including the Vietnam government and the Canaan land government. I did receive your emails. It's been 2 or 3 or 4 of them, and we are, along with the others that have come in, we're working through them. Thank you so much for your tribution. Empress Shernette, thank you for your emails. We got them, and we're looking at them. And also, Justice Yasapa, we thank you for your emails too. It takes us a few days to get through the emails, you know. So if you'll just be patient while we work, that would be great. But we will let you know that we do see them. We have received them as well. And Justice Nas, we've received. He sent about 7 or 8 emails in the last 24 to 48 hours. We probably won't be responding to all of those, but we will let you know that we are receiving your emails, and we're going through them and looking at it. For those who send processes or send your comments about processes, it would be a great addition to our Congress if you would also mention whatever it is that you are telling us about, mention it to the Congress. So that way you're not just giving it just to me, you're giving it to the whole Congress for us to consider. Because in many cases with the emails, Moors will send us an email wanting us to present their thoughts to the Congress. And we do our best to do as much of that as possible. However, your ideas and your thoughts should always be presented by you. That way there's no confusion about what it is you're saying and what you're thinking and what you're stating and what your intention is. And that's why we don't spend a whole lot of time going through emails saying, hey, I got an email about this, Congress, what do you think about this? Because we're not going to misinterpret, and more should be speaking for themselves. And yes, you should be attending Congress. Islam. With that being stated, peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs. Islam.
Islam, and grand rising.
Islam, love and respect.
Thank you.